Mandy and I welcome you back to day 84 of Reading This Bible 365. And I'm a little excited today because, as you can see, I am wearing my 2025 Walk the Year shirt, which means this year I am walking 2,025 miles. It's about 5.5 to 6 miles a day, and I am just crossed over mile 500, so that's really exciting. So that's my pitch today. If you aren't exercising, you don't have to go and really lift a lot of weights and do a lot of heavy stuff. All you have to do is walk. Mandy and I walk every day. So I encourage you to get out there and walk because your body is a temple from God. So let's jump in now to 1 Samuel. We're going to do chapters 6 through 10. And I love to color everything in 1 Samuel in purple because remember, it's part of the history and judges part of the Bible, which has 249 chapters. And 1 Samuel has 31 chapters. And remember last week when we left 1 Samuel, the Ark of the Covenant was brought into Ashdod and Ekron by the Philistines as they captured the Ark of the Covenant. And remember, Dagon fell face down, their big idol. So God is in control. Don't mess around with idols and don't mess around with God. And let's jump now into chapter 6. 1 Samuel chapter 6. The ark returned to Israel. When the ark of the Lord had been in Philistine territory 7 months, the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us how we should send it back to its place. If you return the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it away empty, but by all means send a guilt offering to him. Then you will be healed, and you will know why his hand has not been lifted from you." The Philistines asked, "What guilt offering should we send to him?" They replied, 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats, according to the number of the Philistine rulers, because the same plague has struck both you and your rulers. Make models of the tumors and of the rats that are destroying the country, and pay honor to Israel's God. Perhaps he will lift his hand from you and your gods and your land. Why do you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh did? When he treated them harshly, did they not send the Israelites out so that they could go on their way? Now then, get a new cart, ready with 2 cows that have calved and have never been yoked. Hitch the cows to the cart, but take their calves away and pen them up. Take the ark of the Lord and put it on the cart, and in a chest beside it put the gold objects you are sending back to him as a guilt offering. Send it on its way, but keep watching it. If it goes up to its own territory, towards Beth Shemesh, then the Lord has brought this great disaster on us. But if it does not, then we will know that it was not his hand that struck us, and that it happened to us by chance. So they did this. They took 2 such cows and hitched them to the cart and penned up their calves. They placed the ark of the Lord on the cart, and along with it the chest containing the gold rats and the models of the tumors. Then the cows went straight up towards Beth Shemesh, keeping on the road and lowing all the way. They did not turn to the right or to the left. The rulers of the Philistines followed them as far as the border of Beth Shemesh. Now the people of Beth Shemesh were harvesting their wheat in the valley, and when they looked up and saw the ark, they rejoiced at the sight. The cart came to the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh, and there it stopped beside a large rock. The people chopped up the wood of the cart and sacrificed the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord together with the chest containing the gold objects and placed them on the large rock. On that day, the people of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and made sacrifices to the Lord. The 5 rulers of the Philistines saw all this, and then they returned to that same day to Ekron. These are the gold tumors that the Philistines sent as a guilt offering to the Lord, 1 each for Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. And the number of the gold rats was according to the number of the Philistine towns belonging to the 5 rulers, the fortified towns with their country villages. The large rock on which they set the ark of the Lord is a witness to this day in the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh. But God struck down some of the men of Beth Shemesh, putting 70 of them to death because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. The people mourned because of the heavy blow the Lord had dealt them. And the men of Beth Shemesh asked, "Who can stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? To whom will the ark go up from here?" Then they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath-jearim, saying, The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it up to your place. So the men of Kiriath-jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord. They took it to Abinadab's house on the hill and consecrated Eleazar his son to guard the ark of the Lord. Here's a commentary on that chapter 6. The idea behind the Philistines' plan was that the cow's maternal instincts and their unfamiliarity with the yoke would naturally cause them to want to throw off their restraints and turn backwards toward their bawling babies. So, if they didn't fight the yoke and turn back, but went straight, the Philistines would know that the God of Israel had caused their troubles. Sure enough, as the Philistine rulers followed the cart all the way to the border of Israel, the cows never strayed to the right or the left. Thus the Lord again proved him. Oh, that was interesting, right? So now they're pretty glad that the Ark of the Covenant is back with the Israelites. Let's move on to chapter 7. 1 Samuel chapter 7. Samuel subdues the Philistines at Mizpah. It was a long time, 20 years in all, that the ark remained at Kiriath-jearim, and all the people of Israel mourned and sought after the Lord. And Samuel said to the whole house of Israel, If you are returning to the Lord with all your hearts, then rid yourselves of the foreign gods and the Ashtoreths, and commit yourselves to the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. So the Israelites put away their Baals and Ashtaroths, and served the Lord only. Over here I have, it took 20 years to turn their hearts back to God. And also when Samuel's saying here to rid yourself of the idols, I have a note, total commitment. Then Samuel said, Assemble all Israel at Mizpah, and I will intercede with the Lord for you. When they had assembled at Mizpah, they drew water and poured it out before the Lord. On that day they fasted, and there they confessed, We have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel was leader of Israel at Mizpah. When the Philistines heard that Israel had assembled at Mizpah, the rulers of the Philistines came up to attack them. And when the Israelites heard of it, they were afraid because of the Philistines. They said to Samuel, Do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us, that he may rescue us from the hand of the Philistines. Then Samuel took a suckling lamb and offered it up as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. He cried out to the Lord on Israel's behalf, and the Lord answered him. While Samuel was sacrificing the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to engage Israel in battle. But that day the Lord thundered with a loud thunder against the Philistines and threw them into such panic that they were routed before the Israelites. The men of Israel rushed out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines, slaughtering them along the way to a point below Beth-kar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shen. He named it Ebenezer, saying, Thus far the Lord has helped us. So the Philistines were subdued and did not invade Israelite territory again. Throughout Samuel's lifetime, the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines. The towns from Ekron to Gath that the Philistines had captured from Israel were restored to her, and Israel delivered the neighboring territory from the power of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Samuel continued as judge over Israel all the days of his life. From year to year he went on a circuit from Bethel to Gilgal to Mizpah, judging Israel in all those places. But he always went back to Ramah, where his home was, and there he also judged Israel. And he built an altar there to the Lord. And here, when God gathered them at Mizpah, I have a note, they were scattered, so God had them gather. And over here I say, holy men have God intervened for them. The people obeyed Samuel and only worshiped the Lord. And in his first publicly recorded ministry appearance, Samuel led the nation in a service of repentance at Mizpah, about 7 miles north of Jerusalem. There the Israelites fasted and confessed their sins. God was going to use this demonstration of national repentance and unity to give Israel a resounding victory over their enemies, a fact implying that he accepted their repentance as genuine. I love 2 of the notes that I have here. One is that they had standing stones, a memorial stone, that they set up between Mitzvah and Shen. And I loved how they did that back then. And we do that today with statutes to help us remember events that happen. And they were like, God helped deliver us, so we're going to put a stone here so we can always remember that God was faithful. The other great note I have there is that 2 Philistine cities are given back over to them. And I really like that. When Israel turns their hearts back to God, when we confess our sins and go back to God, He is going to bless them and He's going to bless us. So it's always important to be turning our hearts back to God. All right, let's move on with chapter 8.
Israel asks for a king. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as judges for Israel. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abijah, and they served at Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all of the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." But when they said, "Give us a king to lead us," this displeased Samuel. So he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord told him, "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods. So they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly, and let them know what the king who will reign over them will do." Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking him for a king. He said, "This is what the king who will reign over you will do. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of 50s, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others will make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take 1/10 of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your menservants and maidservants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, and the Lord will not answer you in that day." But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and to go out before us and to fight our battles." When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. The Lord answered, "Listen to them and give them a king." Then Samuel said to the men of Israel, "Everyone go back to his town." My note here says, God gives in to their foolishness. Samuel must have been speechless at God's response, knowing that Israel was standing on thin ground with this sinful request. Nevertheless, God told Samuel to anoint a king, provided that he explained to the nation the rights of a king who would reign over them. Samuel did all that the Lord commanded him and communicated everything to the people. Importantly, it wasn't the request for a king per se that was wrong. A king was in God's sovereign plan for his people. See Deuteronomy 17. The issue then was more that they merely wanted a human ruler. Rather than being set apart as God's own, they wanted to be like all the other nations. But this was not the time for God's perfect choosing, nor were these the right circumstances for the next season of Israel's development. Yet his people were impatient and unwilling to wait for the Lord's will. The irony is huge.
There was a Benjaminite, a man standing, whose name was Kish, son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphthiah, of Benjamin. He had a son named Saul, an impressive young man without equal, among the Israelites, a head taller than any of the others. Now the donkeys belonging to Saul's father Kish were lost, and Kish said to his son Saul, "Take one of the servants with you and go and look for the donkeys." So he passed through the hill country of Ephraim and through the area around Shalisha, but they did not find them. They went on into the district of Shalem, but the donkeys were not there. Then he passed through the territory of Benjamin, but they did not find them. When they reached the district of Zuph, Saul said to the servant who was with him, "Come, let's go back, or my father will stop thinking about the donkeys and stop worrying about us." But the servant replied, "Look, in this town there is a man of God. He is highly respected, and everything he says comes true. Let's go there now. Perhaps he will tell us what way to take." Saul said to his servant, "If we go, what can we give the man? The food in our sacks is gone. We have no gift to take to the man of God. What do we have?" The servant answered him again. "Look," he said, "I have a quarter of shekel of silver. I will give it to the man of God so that he will tell us the way to take. Formerly in Israel, if a man went to inquire of God, he would say, 'Come, let us go to the seer,' because the prophet of today used to be called a seer." "Good," Saul said to his servant. "Come, let's go." So they set out for the town where the man of God was. As they were going up the hill to the town, they met some girls coming out to draw water, and they asked them, "Is the seer here?" "He is," they answered. "He's ahead of you. Hurry now. He has just come to our town today, for the people have sacrificed at the high place. As soon as you enter the town, you will find him before he goes up to the high place to eat. The people will not begin eating until he comes, because he must bless the sacrifice. Afterward, those who are invited will eat. Go up now. You should find him about this time." They went up to the town, and as they were entering it, there was Samuel coming toward them on his way up to the high place. Now the day before Saul came, the Lord had revealed this to Samuel. "About this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him leader over my people Israel. He will deliver my people from the hand of the Philistines. I have looked upon my people, for their cry has reached me." Two things I love. God had those donkeys go get lost, so Saul would wander over into this town. Also had the servant have the wisdom to say, "Hey, let's go over here," so that way Samuel and Saul would run into each other. I mean, in this big country, what are the chances of that? I believe there are no coincidences in life, only God instances. Don't you love that? And the second thing is, I love this line right here. "I have looked upon my people, for their cry has reached me." I love it. That means when we cry out, it reaches the ear of God. He is listening. You might be in a place right now where you feel like God is not listening, and it's been a long time and you're waiting and waiting. But believe me, just keep on praying, because God is listening, and your cry goes up and catches God's ear. When Samuel caught sight of Saul, the Lord said to him, "This is the man I spoke to you about. He will govern my people." Saul approached Samuel in the gateway and asked, "Would you please tell me where the seer's house is?" "I am the seer," Samuel replied. "Go up ahead of me to the high place, for today you are to eat with me, and in the morning I will let you go, and will tell you all that is in your heart. As for the donkeys you lost 3 days ago, do not worry about them. They have been found." Isn't that exciting? "And to whom is all the desire of Israel turned, if not to you and all your father's family?" Saul answered, "But I am not a Benjaminite from the smallest tribe of Israel, and is not my clan least of all the clans of the tribes of Benjamin? Why do you say such a thing to me?" Then Samuel brought Saul and his servant to the hall, and seated them at the head of those who were invited, about 30 in number. Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the piece of meat I gave you, the one I told you to lay aside." So the cook took up the leg with what was on it, and set it in front of Saul. Samuel said, "Here's what has been kept for you. Eat, because it was set aside for you, for this occasion. For this time, I said, I have invited guests." And Saul dined with Samuel that day. After they came down from the high place to the town, Samuel talked with Saul on the roof of his house. They rose about daybreak, and Samuel called to Saul on the roof, "Get ready, and I will send you on your way." When Saul got ready, he and Samuel went outside together. As they were going down to the edge of the town, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the servant to go ahead of us." And the servant did so. "But you stay here a while, so that I may give you a message from God." God set about the work of controlling the choice of king and the circumstances for his anointing. Kish was a prominent man of Benjamin's tribe. Thus he was a man of leadership and valor. So Saul came from good stock. He was also impressive and a head taller than anyone. These are the kinds of qualities that would inspire confidence in people. But as things would turn out, they were all that Saul had going for him. God was no doubt giving them the kind of king they wanted, someone who looked the part. But later, after the people saw the disaster that was King Saul, God would choose the king for them whose heart was right for the job. Though Saul was still looking for his father's donkeys, Samuel had the kingship of Israel on his mind. His cryptic statement that Saul was the one whom all Israel desired caught Saul completely off guard. He responded that his family status hardly qualified him for such an honor. Nevertheless, Samuel made Saul the guest of honor at the banquet held in connection with the worship at the high place. Seating Saul at the head of 30 or so men in attendance probably was a way of getting Saul's name and face out there. It signaled he was a person to notice. After the meal, Samuel took Saul back to his home in Ramah. I mean, can you imagine? All you're doing is looking for donkeys, and all of a sudden you're invited to a banquet. You're put at the head of the table. You're given the leg, the best part of this meat, and you're said that you're going to be leading the people. And he's just like, I'm not qualified, but I love it. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Isn't that great? I love that, which makes me feel good and give me hope, because I don't feel like I am qualified at all to be doing a lot of things. But if you're willing and say, yes, here I am, Lord, send me, take me, use me, God will use you, and He will give you the words to say. He will give you the energy. He'll give you the right people around you. He will just put all the circumstances in place. So I hope you can see today that through a donkey that was lost, that's how he's going to be king. And God cared for him and his people, and God cares for you.
1 Samuel chapter 10. Then Samuel took a flask of oil and poured it on Saul's head and kissed him, saying, Has not the Lord anointed you leader over his inheritance? When you leave me today, you will meet 2 men near Rachel's tomb, at Zelzah on the border of Benjamin. They will say to you, The donkeys you set out to look for have been found. And now your father has stopped thinking about them and is worried about you. He is asking, What shall I do about my son? Then you will go on from there until you reach the great tree of Tabor. 3 men going up to God at Bethel will meet you there. One will be carrying 3 young goats, another 3 loaves of bread, and another a skin of wine. They will greet you and offer you the 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from them. After that, you will go to Gibeah of God, where there is a Philistine outpost. As you approach the town, you will meet a procession of prophets coming down from the high place, with lyres, tambourines, flutes, and harps being played before them, and they will be prophesying. The Spirit of the Lord will come upon you in power, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into a different person. Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. But you must first wait 7 days until I come to you and tell you what you are to do. Saul made king. As Saul turned to leave Samuel, God changed Saul's heart, and all these signs were fulfilled that day. When they arrived at Gibeah, a procession of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him in power, and he joined in their prophesying. When all those who had formerly known him saw him prophesying with the prophets, they asked each other, What is this that has happened to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? A man who lived there answered, And who is their father? So it became a saying, Is Saul also among the prophets? After Saul stopped prophesying, he went to the high place. Now Saul's uncle asked him and his servant, Where have you been? Looking for the donkeys, he said. But when we saw that they were not to be found, we went to Samuel. Saul's uncle said, Tell me what Samuel said to you. Saul replied, He assured us that the donkeys had been found, but he did not tell his uncle what Samuel had said about the kingship. Samuel summoned the people of Israel to the Lord at Mizpah and said to them, This is what the Lord your God of Israel says. I brought Israel up out of Egypt. I delivered you from the power of Egypt and all the kingdoms that oppressed you. And you have now rejected your God, who saves you out of all your calamities and distresses. And you have said, No, set a king over us. So now present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and clans. When Samuel brought all the tribes of Israel near, the tribe of Benjamin was chosen. Then he brought forward the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, and Matri's clan was chosen. Finally, Saul, son of Kish, was chosen. But when they looked for him, he was not to be found. So they inquired of the Lord, Has the man come here yet? And the Lord said, Yes, he has hidden himself among the baggage. They ran and brought him out, and as he stood among the people, he was a head taller than any of the others. Samuel said to all the people, Do you see the man the Lord has chosen? There is none like him among all the people. Then the people shouted, Long live the king! Samuel explained to the people the regulations of kingship. He wrote them down on a scroll and deposited it before the Lord. Then Samuel dismissed the people, each to his own home. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, accompanied by valiant men, whose hearts God had touched. But some troublemakers said, How can this fellow save us? They despised him
and brought him no gifts. But Saul kept silent. To make sure there could be no doubt about God's choice, Samuel brought all the tribes and clans forward. Samuel worked his way down to the smaller and smaller groups, probably by casting lots, until Saul, son of Kish, was selected. But Saul, as it turned out, was hiding, apparently overcome with either modesty or fear of the glare of the cameras. When he was finally brought before the people, they saw that he stood a head taller than anyone else. He was just the kind of physically impressive king that they wanted. Samuel proclaimed to the people the rights of kingship and then wrote them on a scroll before sending everyone home. Saul had made a great first impression, but he would not ultimately measure up to God's standards for a king. And even before things began to unravel, Samuel suspected that the man he'd presented to Israel was not the best for his people. So here again, we have the people really wanting a king, right? Samuel's like not so sure about this, and Saul's even kind of hiding because he's afraid, but he is brought up, and physically he looks good. He's tall, apparently kind of handsome, a head taller than everyone else. He looked like a king, but he was not going to do a good job, as we're about to see. And so, that just reminds me that I shouldn't push things that I want for my life that aren't of God. I just need to be praying every day, and I do. God, what are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? What are you going to do with my life? Lord, what's the best for my life? I think I would love to see this, and this happen. However, I want to do what you think is best for my life. So always put him first, and you will have a great life. Thanks for joining us today. Come back again tomorrow for more Bible 365. See you then. If you enjoyed this message today, I would appreciate a thumbs up. I would also love it if you would subscribe to my channel and pass it along to other friends who want to strengthen their faith in Jesus. I would love a comment on what you liked and also future topics you would like me to talk about. I would also love to answer any question you may have about how to put your faith in Jesus, the Christmas story, Easter story, anything at all. You can contact me through my website, which is nancyjoy2u. That's nancyjoy, the number 2, the letter u.com. You can also email me at nancyjoy2u@gmail.com. Hope to see you tomorrow.